Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kavre, a couple that loves to play board games.
And we love our cats, Luffy and Swanson.
Kitty cats.
Which one's your favorite?
I don't have to answer that question.
Swanson's my favorite.
Luffy cuddles me all the time, so maybe he's my favorite.
Who knows?
Also One Piece. Nice.
Now today we'll be doing a review of
House of Cats. Bet you didn't see that one coming. House of Cats is designed by William Attia and Christian A. Outsby. It's published by Aporta Games.
Now in this game you'll be building a house of cats. You'll create rooms by placing numbers together, and then you'll place some mice and cats and dice.
What?
Get it? Mice and dice?
Mice and dice. What
Mice
about the
and
cat?
dice. And then you'll score the most points by crafting those rooms, creating them, making sure the cats and the mice are in the right location. And you'll score a great score because your house will be fantastically built.
But of course, if you score the most points, you'll be declared the winner.
Let's give you a quick overview of how to play. As always, you'll begin by setting up. Each player will receive a player sheet and a pencil. Ability tiles will be shuffled and drawn on your player sheet. You're now ready to play. Every turn, 4 dice will be rolled. Players will simultaneously select 3 of those dice to draw on their sheets. The dice must be all together connected adjacent to each other. They must fill in empty spaces and can be drawn anywhere, meaning you don't have to touch previously drawn numbers. After drawing, you'll see if you completed any rooms. If at any point you form a group of adjacent equal numbers of the size of the group being equal to the numbers, you complete the room. You draw walls around the numbers to indicate that these numbers have been used, and proceed by drawing a circle in the ability box, the corresponding number, to indicate the ability is now available. Abilities can be saved to be used later, but any with a lightning symbol will need to be used immediately. These can often help you score more points. Once one player has finished filling in their player sheet, the game comes to an end. You'll score points by tallying points from each completed room, mice and cats scoring depending on the map you've chosen, any bonus letter scoring, and you'll lose points for any empty spaces you have remaining on your board. The player with the most points wins. How many cats will you have in your house?
Fill a house of cats.
It's funny because the mice are usually worth more points than the cats. But you need the cats usually to score the mice.
Yeah.
The circle of life, baby.
And there's cheese. Yeah, it really is a circle of life. I didn't even think about it like that.
Does the house eat the cat?
No, the house houses the cat.
And the mice eats the house.
No.
What did you think?
I like this game. We've played a lot of roll and writes, flip and writes. Well, this one is a roll and write, but in that genre, and it fit in that space really well. I think it was amazing that there's like 4 different maps. Four different maps? Yeah. So that's always fun because you get to choose. And then the scoring is dependent. They also get more and more difficult, in my opinion. I think not in my opinion as well. But I did really enjoy it. The abilities and the variability of this game, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a good time. I really, really like the cover of this game. I don't know if it's that deep blue or the fun
The architecture.
architecture.
Yeah.
It left me really curious because I remember the cover came out and there was nothing else about the game. Like you knew it was a roll and write, but that was all you knew.
Yeah.
But learning and being able to play through all the different maps, we play this game quite a bit of many a times now. And yeah, it's very different each and every time, which I really like the unique gameplay for sure.
Yeah, it's even interesting like with the abilities, and we can maybe get into this later, but like your abilities that you have, you draw them into the spaces, and it's actually like the higher ones or the ones that come first actually score you less points, and it progressively gets more and more points. So it's interesting to be able to like, oh, now this one's more readily available to me, so strategy might change.
Yeah, that combination of the two. Well, why don't we just get into it? What are some of the reasons why you should check out the House of Cats?
We often do this where we start with our first impressions and then we say things that end up being said again here, but we'll touch on it a bit more, starting with the abilities, I think.
The varying abilities.
Yeah.
So I think typically a lot of roll and writes have abilities that you unlock by doing certain things.
Yeah.
But I think what makes this game very unique is the abilities are kind of randomized to different assortments of rooms. So sometimes the 2 rooms where you only need 2 numbers side by side, the 2-2, have a really strong ability.
Yes.
So it's really interesting to be able to prioritize those because they score less points, for example, versus the fives.
Yep.
Prioritizing those sometimes is really interesting because specifically of the ability.
Yep.
And the abilities really drive the game, especially when they're really helpful or help you get potentially more points as well.
I remember one of the 2 abilities was like, whenever you make a 2-room, you can draw literally anything on the board, and that showing up as like a 2-room was pretty amazing because you could plan so far, almost so far ahead, and also really you're hoping that you end up rolling 2s almost, because the more you get, the more points you score, and then also you can like chain combo, which is my next point into why you might want to check this out. There's not like huge complicated combos in House of Cats, but there are opportunities to combo yourself off of the way you play things, the abilities that you're able to unlock, and just having that like autonomy to choose some of the abilities and when you get to use them versus some of the ones that happen immediately, I think is very nice.
And you can use as many abilities in a turn as you want. You're not limited to just one.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where some of that planning comes in hand because you can really prepare and do something really great on a turn. I think another really good thing about this game is that it's simultaneous play.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot of roll and write specifically, because there's that luck factor of the dice, here you're rolling 4 and you're choosing the 3. So already the luck factor is a little bit limited because you have that variance in choice. But everyone else is stuck with the same number, so you can't complain that, hey, Tyler's rolled better numbers than me. No, it's how you really use them, which I think works really well in roll and rates, and specifically this game.
Yeah, I actually remember, if folks are familiar with the game Trek 12, it's not the same, of course, because you have to like add, subtract, multiply, but it does give that same feeling where everybody is picking the same die or 2 dice. You just have to decide how you want to use them. And I think that like decision point is simple enough for people to pick up on, but adds like a lot of not variability, but pressure to like your scores because the games are really close. So it's almost about like making sure you make the right decisions, but also at the same time with the abilities you're able to sometimes mess up or like put one that save one for later kind of thing. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, every decision certainly matters in this game. And I think the last thing I'll say too is the games are fairly quick. They're like 15 to 20 minute games, so you'll come back and play it again and try again. And because the scores are so close, it's just
it doesn't feel so bad. And of course, like you have 4 maps to pick between. So if you're really keen on playing this game, you can play all 4 maps in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But
house adventure.
Yeah, that's a lot about like why we think you should check it out. There's a couple reasons why we think people might not want to check it out. And do you want to begin?
Well, I think with any dice game, it's unpredictable. You never know what you're going to roll. And especially a game where you're doing the same thing. Like if somebody could be looking over and doing the exact same thing that you're doing. And that's more of like, don't play with people like that. But that is a possibility that somebody could be copying you.
Or take it as a learning opportunity, maybe.
Yeah, paired with like the dice rolls being like maybe unfavorable. Like if you're not a person who enjoys that, maybe this game isn't for you.
And even to that, like a lot of roll and writes, I think I speak broadly for this for this genre, is even though it is simultaneous play, this one in particular, you can get caught in like a loop like that, but also there's no player interaction. So you're always just playing the game as you are. It can feel solitaire at times. So if you're looking for a game where perhaps maybe you want to not just chat with the friends around the table, but also like interact with them on the game level, this one won't provide that, I don't think.
No. Yeah. And I think the last thing we'll mention too is that the theme in this game is definitely quite loose.
Yeah.
You will draw the mice, you will draw the cats. It's also funny because the cats are inverse of the mouse, because the cats have a circle and then triangles for the ears. And then the mice are triangles with circles for the ears. So
I'm just putting that together.
I think it's a fun fact in the rule book.
Oh, yeah. You can tell who reads the rule books.
But with that said, the theme is quite loose. You're essentially putting cats and mice in a house, and sometimes it's good when they're together. Sometimes it's, well, actually it's always good when they're together, because that's typically how the scoring works. So I think essentially you're just trying to make sure there's enough mice for the cats to eat.
I think that would be a good guess.
And there's cheese.
I mean,
so you're feeding the mice cheese before, you're fattening them up before the cats eat them.
I mean, that's a good point, right? Like, even to how Ilya's trying to explain it. Like, it's clear that there's maybe a bit of a disconnect between theme and game mechanics. But that being said, like, maybe you're not somebody, or if you're not somebody who is into the themes, then you don't have to worry about it. And you can draw just triangles and circles, I guess.
Like me, triangles and circles.
Point being is, if you're more of a theme person, this game is probably not going to be for you. The last thing, I know Ilya said this was our last point, but the last thing I want to say is that the decisions do get tougher and tougher as you play the game. You almost want to like start the game with the intention of always being able to play the three dice that you're able to, because if you have like a space of say 2, but it's blocked or surrounded by other things, then you're only able to play 2.
Yeah.
So it's like this give and take of like you kind of have to pay attention to it, but those decisions get harder and harder, I think, as the game progresses, and it can cause like a bit of like decisions become harder.
It's essentially especially sad when you create a little spot where there's just 3 solo spaces and you're like, that's 3 turns. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and the game could end and you could lose points.
Exactly.
Anyways,
but overall, what do we think?
I think this was a good game. Like I said, we've played a lot of roll and writes. I think the best part about House of Cats for me is the levels. I like being able to progress through the levels. Kind of reminds me of Dungeons and Dice.
Okay.
So like Dungeons and Dice.
Dungeons, Dice, and
Dungeons,
Danger.
Dice. Yeah, I'm missing a word. Dungeons, Dice, and Danger almost clashed with like Trek 12 in a sense. I think, and then like brought up a level because I don't think it's as complicated.
That's fair.
So if you're looking for a lighter version of the game, a roll and write, then I think this is a great game for people to pick up. Other than that, like the theme didn't land for me, and that's okay.
That's okay. So if we played a lot of roll and writes, if this is all of them here, is it above average or below average?
Oh, that's below.
Below. Oh.
Yeah, I think there's so many roll and writes out there that have the intention of like, I mean, take any of the clevers. Those don't have themes, and they're great roll and writes.
That's fair.
Then there's ones that have themes and are also great roll and writes, but then there's some that maybe have themes and aren't great. So there's like this balance between, I think, the theme and the roll and the mechanic of roll and write that I really like seeing happen. And when I think that's like the breaking point for me. And it's a lighter game. You have to understand that I prefer heavier games too. So the lighter game is a downfall, I guess.
Mine's above average.
There you go.
Yeah, I think mine's above average because I think it's short enough and variable enough in a way that it's not messy. Because I think a lot of games use variation and modularity, and it just becomes messy, like it's not needed. But in this game, I think the way that the modularity is used is very unique because it does correspond to those rooms, and the way that they're unlocked is really interesting.
That is true.
So I like the puzzle of it. The loose theme, it's still like there's still cats. You're still drawing cats, so it's still like a little bit there, but it doesn't bother me as much. So yeah, I guess we balanced the scales there.
Balance the scales. Well, maybe we'll let you decide whether or not you like House of Cats, but those are just a few reasons you might want to check it out, might not want to check it out. Have you played it yet? Let us know down in the comments below, and I'm sure Ilya has a question of the day.
I'm sure I know I've asked this question before, but I'm going to ask it again. Is A, do you have a cat? If you have a cat, tell us their name and a story about them.
Ooh.
And if you don't have a cat, what would you name your cat? This is the question that I think I've asked before, because I remember asking if you had an imaginary cat, what would you name your cat?
Ah, amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have imaginary cats.
We have 2 cats, Luffy and Swanson, and I'm sure I've already put pictures in this video.
Most definitely. Anyways, if you liked this video, make sure you give us that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you are new here. We make weekly board game content, and we love chatting more about games.
And we love animals and pets and cute creatures.
That's very true. Until next time, bye.